Hello everyone, welcome back to vidIQ for another vidIQ interviews. Now this person is what you might call an audio genius, and the reason I say that is because you've probably heard of this person on vidIQ without ever seeing them, and this is why.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.com.
That is the brand new vidIQ intro we have, and it's from this gentleman, Mike Russell. Please introduce yourself.
Wow, Rob, it's fantastic to be on vidIQ Live. Thank you for having me as a guest. So I'm Mike from musicradiocreative.com, and I generally just help people to sound great, whether that's producing a podcast or getting their YouTube audio sounding good. My world is audio.
And of course, we must apologise probably first of all that the way we're doing this interview is through Zoom, so it's probably deteriorating the audio a little bit, but I'm sure you'll agree that Mike has, now I'm going to be careful with my words here, not only a voice for radio, but a face for YouTube, in the sense that he's, this wonderful British lyrical accent that you have, that I just sort of get into a dreamy state whenever I listen to it. In comparison, like I'm from the north of England, and it kind of sounds a bit like Jon Snow, You Know Nothing. But yeah, I mean, just a little bit, Mike, about how you sort of developed your vocal cords, I guess.
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, everyone is different, especially, like you mentioned, coming from the UK, where you can travel for 20 or 30 miles up the road and hear another accent. You're in Birmingham, or then you're, down in Cornwall or something, or wherever. So I think we're all unique, aren't we, with our vocal abilities? But I guess I just had a dream as a kid, with a really squeaky voice, to want to have that radio voice. And I used to listen to a lot of radio when I was a kid and think, wow, particularly the jingles, they sound amazing. There's like, music power and all of that. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So, but I can't speak for how my vocal cords developed that way. I don't know if there's a trick to that. Some people say whiskey, some people say cigars. I don't really do any of those. So who knows?
Well, folks, if let me know what you think of Mike's accent in the chat. If you do think it's fantastic, like I do, but also Mike has an unbelievable ability to just change his voice like on command. So if I maybe just flick my thumbs, and then we'll hear from Mike.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so I don't know. This must have been some sort of implant or augmentation that Mike has, but I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot from that later on. So we've already gone off topic. Let's get back onto topic a little bit. Mike Russell has a YouTube channel, and he describes in his description, audio production has been a passion of Mike's for the majority of his life. Audio production is so much fun, and you try to capture specific issues and discuss them in videos. Your channel has 88,000 subscribers, 14 million views. Maybe just give us your superhero origin story. How did you come to be on YouTube, Mike?
Well, thanks for asking, Robin. Yeah, you're right. At 88K, nearly 89 now, I'm heading for the 100,000, and I was really hoping for that lovely play button. They've recently updated it, I believe.
They have, yes.
And you can aspire to get a gold when you get to 1 million, which is amazing. So yeah, how did I start? 2010 was when I put my first video out on my channel, and there's often like the question, oh, did you plan it, Mike? Did you? No, I just literally recorded a video of me playing around in my favorite audio editor, Adobe Audition. And I think I was demonstrating. It's still on my channel. If you want to go all the way back or sort by oldest to newest, you'll see it. And it's just my 3 or 4 or 5 maybe favorite effects to use on the voice to make it sound different, to make it sound better, bigger, louder. And I left it for a bit and didn't do another one for a few months. And then after a certain period of time, I looked back and I looked and I thought, oh, 100,000 views. I should probably better do some more of this stuff. And then I did more and more. And as you know yourself, Rob, it becomes kind of addictive. And then you end up pumping out lots of content. So that's kind of how I got started. Plus, I just love bringing the audio side to the video world via YouTube.
Yeah, that is a similar story you described there, that you just kind of play with YouTube, kick out a couple of videos, then ignore it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm getting emails here from comments and people subscribing to content, and I didn't even realize that people were watching my videos. So to follow on for that question, now that you have more of a strategy about your channel, like who is your target audience and your value proposition, or to put it another way, who should be watching and why should they care?
That's a great question. So I would say anybody who wants to make audio sound good. That could be primarily, I would say, people working in radio. So radio hosts, radio station managers, program controllers, but also podcasters, a huge percentage now and rising. I know we're probably going to talk about podcasting a bit more. Rising amount of audience tuning in to learn podcast editing, tips and tricks, and all of that good stuff. We have DJs watching as well, but more and more YouTube as well, and particularly time to time, like you say, the comments and the emails you'll get. I mean, YouTube has changed my life in that sense because no one ever used to contact me until I started putting videos out on YouTube. And suddenly, through YouTube, you can reach a wider audience. So I often get YouTubers who are creating, game channels, and they want to get the best mic and the best sound they can, and bits like that. So yeah, just anyone who wants to create good audio, I kind of teach them how to do that either in a live environment or inside my favorite audio editor, Adobe Audition. But I also show other editors from time to time, like Audacity and bits like that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We're actually getting some audio advice from the chat here that Sideways at 11 is saying that my audio is a little lower than Mike. So hopefully I've just upped that a little bit there. Thank you very much for the feedback. It's interesting to hear then that you're getting messages and emails through YouTube. Has that helped your business? We're going to talk about your business a bit more in the future, but has that helped like build your business, like having this big YouTube arm to reach out to people?
So yeah, it's become invaluable, I would say. I didn't realize this when I first started recording, but YouTube, I believe now when I look at Google Analytics, is our number one referrer of traffic to our website. Yeah. And I don't know whether you'd advise this as best practice, but I always try and put a link back to our website as the first thing in the description. I know maybe that might be a bad thing because I'm pushing people off YouTube. I mean, what would be your thought on that? Should I be doing that, or should I put it later on in the description?
Yeah, I think it's a channel preference, really. I mean, you're definitely... One of the main reasons you're on YouTube is to build your business. So I think in that sense, yes, pushing people to your business to get those sales or products or whatever is a good idea. It's probably not advisable for all YouTubers. Like if YouTube is their main arm, then possibly not. But I think in your case, I certainly don't think that's a big issue. But it is a good point you raise that when there are external links, that counts as a YouTube end session. So your content ended somebody's viewing experience on YouTube, so it can have negative effects. But yeah, it's like for you, like I want these people to come and contact me and possibly provide a professional service. I wouldn't say that's too much of a big issue for you. But as we're talking about your audience, like your channel mainly does focus on audio. So do you find it difficult to capture an audio audience on a video platform?
That's a really good question. So I think I've heard this phrase so many times that the video can be slightly subpar in quality, but when audio starts degrading, people start to tune out quicker. So it's all about making your audio sound good. So I think there's a good amount of people on YouTube, YouTubers who are creating their own channels and their own content who want to get the best possible audio. But also I think there's just a ton of audio geeks out there. I mean, as you know, everyone is on YouTube, and there's a niche or a place or a niche, if you're the other side of the pond, for everybody to sit in. And yeah, audio happens to be mine, and I really enjoy it because you never know who's going to be tuning in, and there's a worldwide audience out there, so it's quite fascinating. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving doing it, and as long as the views are still there, I'll keep going.
Yeah. I'm on a personal crusade in North America to try and convince people that it's pronounced niche, not niche.
But you can't say the riches are in the niches, can you?
Very true. Okay, audio, YouTube. Video has been around now for a good 10 years on the internet with YouTube dominating it. But the podcast world, as we've alluded to, is starting to explode. Podcasts have been around forever, and I met Mike at the VidCon Europe, and we were just talking about what's happened to podcasts. I've been listening to football or soccer podcasts for 10 years, but in recent years, all of a sudden, it seems to be everywhere. And if you don't have a podcast, then you're not up with the time. So maybe give us the story of podcasts in the last 5 to 10 years. And I guess I know you go to a lot of podcast conferences. I think you were one in Edmonton recently. So yeah, what are your general thoughts on podcasts and whether we should do one or not?
Definitely. It's a brilliant question. It's growing and growing and growing. And there are studies like the Infinite Dial that happens every year in the US. And I think there's just recently been the very first Infinite Dial, Canada as well. And I think it's Edison and Triton. They do research to find out how the awareness is on podcasting, how many people are listening to podcasts, who knows about the word. And it's really getting to a good stage now where there's a lot of awareness. I think the latest study that came out about a month ago revealed about 64% of people now, this is specifically for the US, are aware of what a podcast is, and about a quarter of the population are listening on a regular basis. So it is, and it's going up. It's like literally going up every year on the research. So that's what I would say is the most reliable research that's pointing us in that direction. But there are other places like, social media marketing world I was at earlier this year in February in San Diego, and every year they compile a list of what's growing. And again, coming up in that list is podcasting as a growing medium. And just the fact that other conferences are, well, not only podcasting conferences are popping up, lots of them, but other conferences, like bigger conferences are paying attention. Like, for instance, VidCon. I gave a talk there about a month ago in Amsterdam, saying or trying to convey the message to YouTubers that many people learn not only in video and visual form, but also in auditory form. And I believe it's your duty as a YouTuber to also get your message, get your word out in a podcast form. Like, for instance, what we're doing right now, Rob, on this live stream, this could quite easily go out as a podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things we're certainly thinking about doing. I'm sure some people have heard at vidIQ that we've brought Jeremy Vest on board, and he's had a very long-standing podcast, and hopefully we're going to try and integrate that somehow into vidIQ, so stay tuned to that. So as a question here of your personal preference, which platform do you think is best, video or audio? Or to put it another way, podcast versus YouTube, what's the pros and the cons? And if you were going to give advice to a person, which might you take first?
You're giving me a loaded question there. What's better, audio or video? Okay, so I'm going to give some reasons. Obviously, I think audio is the best because not only can you consume it anywhere, so I can be walking around doing the washing up, listening to this live stream in podcast form, so I don't have to be sitting down. I from what I understand, a lot of people who will have live streams like this on in YouTube, correct me if I'm wrong, but they'll have it open in one window while they're doing something else because they don't necessarily need to be watching, do they? Yeah. They can be listening. So, I mean, that's a positive to the live stream aspect of YouTube. What I really like about video is it's centralized. That can work for and against. So most people are uploading to YouTube and using YouTube as their main platform. I think possibly second place might be something like Vimeo. So you've got a central point. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. You can get started for free. And if you're lucky enough to go over 4,000 subscribers and a certain amount of watch hours, YouTube will even pay you if you hook it up to monetization, which is fantastic. Podcasting is a little bit more fragmented and audio is the other way around. So we all have different silos. You have to find your own podcast host out of the minefield of lots of them. You have to pay that podcast host to host your audio. And then you have to find another way of either getting sponsorships yourself to make money or injecting, as they call it, injecting ads into your audio content using a third-party provider. So yeah, you've got to find the host. You've got to find the ad provider or a sponsor. You've got to do a lot of work to make audio. So while I do like audio, definitely not the easiest. Video, I would say, is much more straightforward. And if you're happy to sit in front of a camera and get going, then yeah, video has a lot of benefit. And I'm getting a good relationship with video. Even though, do you say I have a face for radio or a face for YouTube? A voice for YouTube and a face for radio.
Yeah, I was trying to combine the two so it didn't sound like an insult.
So yeah, bit of both, but if I had to pick one, it would definitely be audio.
Here's an interesting question then, because you say that for creating a podcast, there's a lot of things that you have to do to find a host and then find a way to advertise. Is there a place in the market for like a YouTube / or a pod tube type of company which would do all of these things for you. Because one of the benefits of YouTube is that you make a video, you upload it, and YouTube more or less takes care of the rest. But is that because, as you said, podcasting is more fragmented? Do you think there's an opportunity there for some startup to create a tool for all podcasters?
I'd love to think that. I'd love to think that but I think rather than a startup, it probably needs to be one of the Goliaths in the tech space coming in. So I mean, the big podcast hosts like there's Libsyn, Blueberry, and Spreaker. They're all doing great work, and they do talk to each other. But it's like combining it all together. Maybe if those three all combined together and said, "Hey, let's work together and make this big thing," they could crush the space. They could totally take over. But then I don't know. Maybe I don't know this, but maybe Google will come in. They already host, I think, on the Play Store in the US podcasts. They might come in and say, "Do you know what? We want to get into this now." So who knows really? But it could be anyone. Who else could get into the podcasting space? Trying to think now who might have an eye on it. But really, it would have to be some collaboration, I think, between the existing hosts out there who have the knowledge and bigger company. Yeah.
Okay, let's take some questions from the audience here now. We're going to have one here from Tom Nash, which is, let me see, your thoughts on YouTube lifting restrictions on background play as a booster for podcasts. I don't really follow that question, but does that make more sense to you?
Let me read that. Background play. Oh, I think I understand what Tom means. Thank you, Tom, for the question. So that means when you're playing YouTube on a phone and you put it onto standby into your pocket, you can still hear.
Right, I'm with you.
Now, from what I understand, that's only available in the US right now, and you've got to be a subscriber of YouTube Red. So I can't personally do that here where I am in the UK with my YouTube app. What I generally tend to do is I tend to start the video and then put the phone hot into my pocket with the LCD or the AMOLED display lit up in my pocket. That's the best I can get away with. There are other things out there like one service. I've not used it myself, but I mentioned it in my talk at VidCon was something like PodSync. I think they've got a Patreon page for funding as well. Like I say, not use them, so I'm not recommending them. But yeah, they try to solve the problem of like extracting audio from YouTube videos and turning them into podcasts. But I wish this would just happen on automation.
It would help, wouldn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
A question from Digital Jedi Master. Are you familiar with Anchor micro podcasting app?
Yeah, I am.
Go ahead. I think that was a question. So anything to add?
Yeah. Anchor, I have definitely heard of and I've used. I've had some great experiences with them. They're good for kind of micro podcasting. So there's a really good community on Anchor. I think they're at anchor.fm if you want to check out the app. And what you do is you sign in, you create a kind of social account, you can get followers and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But usually it's like a 2-minute kind of snippet of you saying something and then people reply back and it kind of stitches everything together. So it's a fun introduction to the world of audio and podcasting, but I wouldn't use it to host a podcast that, a serious podcast that I wanted to create. It's more of a snippet community-based thing rather than for making podcasts, I would say.
It could be like I have an idea for a podcast on tigers in London. What's your opinion on this? I don't know why that came into my head there, but you would sort of use that for almost like the YouTube community tab. It's there to get like little snippets of feedback. So, okay, thanks for the advice there. And one last question before we go back to the vidIQ ones. Sideways at 11 is interested in your sound deadening behind you. How much of the room have you padded?
All of it. I'm in a padded cell.
Wow.
They won't let me out. But no, it's fantastic. It's what I say is that if you want to get good quality audio for any purpose, but if you're making a YouTube video, do the clap test. And if you don't get an echo when you clap in your room, then you're good. I've probably gone a bit overboard in this room, but also another thing that often people will get wrong when they're recording is, obviously if you can solve this, if you can change what's on your floor, try not to go for a lino or, kind of tile floor. Definitely go for a carpet and even better, a shaggy carpet and heavy curtains all of this helps if you can't really change the acoustics of your room. Brilliant stuff. It was like a scene from Breaking Bad in here when I first moved into this room, because I had one of those big masks on and I was like spraying the walls with glue and sticking them up through the night. So yes, I was I had my own audio acoustic lab rather than meth lab.
I can personally attest to the experience of when you're wanting to buy a house or rent a house. The first question is, does it have laminate flooring? That's no good for my audio. Right, let's get to some more YouTube-y type stuff with audio then. If you were to recommend like 3 audio essentials for a video creator, what would they be generally?
Microphone, first and foremost, definitely the microphone. It's everything with getting good quality audio. After that, for a YouTuber in particular, I would recommend get a good preamp or processor as number 2. And the reason for that is you can process the signal from your microphone inside a good analog preamp processor, meaning a bit of kit that sits on your desk or underneath your desk, and you can add on EQ, you can add compression, gating. I can talk more about that if you like, and just basically make your audio sound better in a live environment, particularly if you're doing live streams. That can really help. And number 3, if you're post-processing, then definitely a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, similar for those of you in the video world to something like Premiere Pro or Final Cut. That kind of stuff. It's for audio, so something like that for audio, so you can really make your audio sound good. Those 3 things: microphone, preamp processor, and DAW would be my 3 recommendations.
So from a video creator's perspective, every time you buy a new piece of equipment or add something to your video creation process, it adds a variable. So when you say a preamp, I'm a little worried about, do I need to make sure that's switched on and tuned to the right controls, like almost like thinking about a white balance and color settings on a camera? Is there a whole set of things you have to go through, like a checklist when you're setting these things up when you are using the audio, or is it something that you can set up and then you're pretty much ready to go every time you want to record?
Yeah, with a preamp and processor, it's definitely set and forget.
Yeah.
As long as you're not moving about, if you've got your own recording room or studio, as you might call it, you can set and forget these things. So they'll have a lot of dials on. They'll look really overwhelming at first. For instance, the one I'm using now, I've made a tutorial showing you what each knob does, because even, I don't know if you find this, like when you get like the manual, you start reading through it and it says things like harmonics and frequencies and all of these kind of big buzzy words. You don't really want to know what the exact frequency is you're tweaking. You just want to know that it's going to make you sound good. Yeah. So I try to do that in layman's terms. But yeah, once you've got everything set up, and for your voice in particular and your room, then you can absolutely leave it. But I do stress your voice and your room, because everybody has different frequencies in their voices. So while you might get the sibilance ironed out, that, you know, that treble distortion from your S's, you know, your other half might come on and she might have a higher sibilant range, and then you have to readjust it. So be aware of that. And also rooms can vary. So obviously, yeah, as long as you're recording in the same place and it's you every time and with the same microphone as well, that's important. Then you can set and forget.
And if you want to learn more about sibilance, then go over to Mike Russell's channel, because I have no idea what that means. Question here from Mostly Useless. Hopefully Mostly Useless, we can make you less useless. What about a portable setup for outdoor YouTubers?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So portable audio, are we talking?
I guess so. We're probably talking about maybe using an iPhone or one of those point-and-shoot cameras. Yeah, imagine that you maybe only had 2 pieces of equipment on your hands, generally.
Cool. Well, then in that case, I mean, you could go really simple. So you could go, you know, with your smartphone and your smartphone mic. Everyone can do that. But if you just want to level it up a little bit, then the Rode Smart Lav Plus will plug right in your phone, and then you can like have that nice lavalier attached to you. You can be recording either the audio separately into your phone while you use a better quality camera to film you, and then later on you can sync up the audio by doing a few claps so you can see the spikes, and stuff like Premiere Pro will allow you to click synchronize and just synchronize the audio and the video together. So yeah, Rode SmartLab Plus. If you want to go a bit more intense, then get yourself an audio interface like the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I've had one of those for years, and I've bashed it about, put it in bags, clammed it through airport security many times. And they have, that's brilliant because it's just got one dial on for turning up and down, and XLR inputs for microphones. So if you want to get like a boom mic or a shotgun mic or whatever it is, powered 48 volt condenser microphone can all go into that thing. So that's a really good bit of kit for on the move too.
Mostly Useless immediately replies with, I don't like lavs, I prefer shotguns. Presumably you're meaning shotgun microphones, Mostly Useless. Is there any sort of mobile shotgun microphone you can use? I tend to use the Rode Video Mic Go, but once you're like even as much as 5 to 10 feet away from your voice, it just it loses the sound. So is there any good outdoor shotgun microphones you might be able to recommend?
I like the Rode microphone you mentioned, Rob, and I think your videos sound really good. So I think that's a great solution. Shotgun mics, I don't use them that much, so I don't have any in my studio right now. But one I hear time and time again, certainly mentioned in the voiceover and voice acting world, so this might apply to video, is the Sennheiser 416 shotgun mic. That gets mentioned time and time again.
Yeah, that's like the industry standard, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, looking at the zeitgeist there, I'd say 416, look at that one. Yeah, otherwise, whatever you got. But yeah, if you don't like lavs, then yeah, shotguns are going to be the way to go for sure.
Okay, there's lots of fantastic questions coming in here, and we'll probably leave them for the end where we can just do like a Q&A with Mike. I wanted to get back to quickly like the 3 audio essentials that you suggested, which were a microphone, an amp, and a workstation. Was it a DAW workstation? So if we were on like 2 different budgets. Sorry? Oh, here we go. Do it again.
DAW.
It's a DAW workstation. If you were on a budget, or you could buy some premium products of each of those, what might you suggest?
Right, yeah, that's a really good question. So first of all, I would start with the microphone. So if you want to go in with a budget mic, something that can sit in front of you, I prefer to go for like you've got there, Rob. I think you've got a nice Samsung mic there with a pop shield on it. Something like that is really good. I'm guessing, is that the CO1U or CO3?
Yes, so we're talking like 2008, 2007. This is like probably cost me about £60-70 back in the day, so $100. And this is a USB one, 10 years old, and even after dropping it, I'd say it provides adequate sound quality. Obviously,
it works.
Go higher. Yeah, it works.
Yeah, and it's got a little green light on the front, hasn't it? I believe
it does. Yes.
Yeah, so Samsung CO1, there you go. That's what Rob is using. So £60-70 might be. Actually, I'm not sure what it is right now. Let me have a quick look at what that might be. While I do that, I would also recommend the Audio Technica ATR 2100. Again, it's a microphone you can have on a kind of stand just off the screen. So that's quite good. That's around 70 or 80 British pounds, which again, I think that's going to convert about to the similar amount of US dollars, because usually British pounds convert directly to US dollars, even though they're not quite similar. Yeah. So yeah, but you're right about the Samsung CO1U. That's £61.95 right now on Amazon.co.uk. So the ATR 2100 is a good budget microphone. You can also go ahead and look at something like a Zoom recorder, maybe. Again, this is creeping up in price now. There is obviously the Zoom H1 is a great kind of starter recorder. I should probably be looking on Amazon.com, because I know that your audience is very international and everyone likes US dollars when we're talking prices. So Zoom H1 is $125 at the moment, so that's good. If your budget can afford it, then I would go for something like a Zoom H6, which is about in the middle there, I'd go for the Zoom H4n, which is $200. And you can, those are portable recorders that you can take with you out and about on location. It has a couple of condenser mics on the top. You can do stereo, good choice. And if you want to go super, super high level, then definitely go for the mic I have in my studio, which I'm looking up the price of now. It's $1,089, and it is the Neumann TLM 103, made in Berlin, Germany. So this is a really cool condenser mic, and as you can see with me, I have it literally just off the screen there, so you can't see a big mic. Not that I've got anything against big mics in your face. Do I look better like that? A face for YouTube.
Face for YouTube.
So TLM 103. Moving on to the preamps and processors, let's have a quick look at what I would recommend. So I did mention the 2i2. That's the Focusrite 2i2. It's $149. That's a really good, rugged audio interface that you can take with you. It's an audio interface slightly different. It's a mic preamp as well, but it's an audio interface. So that's one thing I'd recommend. But if you really want to get into a good preamp and processor, I struggled actually to find premium and cheap versions of these, because there's just one that I really recommend, and most of them fall in around the $200 budget, which this one does. DBX 286S is $199 at the moment, and it's really, really good. It's got just enough dials to add high frequency, low frequency, to gate your microphone, and what that means is when you stop talking, your microphone goes silent, and when you start talking, audio gets through. So it kind of, if you've got any background noise, it will cut that all out.
Yeah.
Compression to, again, make your voice sound a little better. So this is me with compression. If I was to reach round, I'll see if I can reach around and switch off the compression. It's too far away, but you can do all kinds of things with that to make your voice sound better in a live environment. So DBX 286S. And finally, for DAW, if you want to get started for free, it's got to be Audacity. That's the way to get started. And then if you want to up your game, obviously, I'm going to recommend Adobe Audition. That's like 98% of the videos I create on my YouTube channel.
That program in particular? I wonder why.
Yes, that's right. I've been a user since the late 90s. Cool Edit Pro. When you used to open it, and every time it would open with a multi-track session of Jason Levine, one of the early developers and staff members for Centrillion before it was purchased by Adobe, singing Cool Edit Pro 2.0. Sounds beyond cool. Then it was 1.5, 3.0, CS 5.5, CS 6, and then finally we're in the Creative Cloud now. And just take this opportunity to say, I know a lot of people moan about the Creative Cloud and, I've got to pay a monthly subscription. But actually, I think it's the best thing ever, because you've got to remember this piece of software, or these pieces of software combined, used to cost thousands of dollars. And there used to be an upgrade cycle of every year, didn't there, from Adobe? Right. And you'd have to, shell out those thousands of dollars. Now, for $20, I think it is, for a single app, up to $50 for the multiple apps, you can have everything. And, I never used to use all of those pieces of software, but now I'm in the Creative Cloud. I definitely use Premiere Pro for my YouTube editing, After Effects for doing those whizzy intros. I use Photoshop, just everything, even Dreamweaver to dig into code. And there's just, it's just cool. And if you ever watch some of the conferences they do, like the Adobe Max, this is not a big advert for Adobe, by the way. They're not paying me to say this, but they have some really cool tech that they're working on, and I want to be a part of that. Like, they're really leading the way on creative artificial intelligence. They do keep saying that AI will never replace creatives, but it will certainly help them more and more. So there you go. There's my take.
Well, thank you for that exhaustive list of equipment. Obviously, we don't have a link, so if you do want to know what any of those products are, probably just rewind the live stream after we've done it, and just watch this last 5 minutes to learn what all the programs that, the equipment that Mike was saying. And just to finish off here, these are the three staple bits of equipment that I use. As Mike said, the Samsung, and that's not Samsung, the big Korean electrical company. It is actually another company, SAMSON, Samsung, for my live streams, recording directly into a computer. This tiny little thing is what hangs above the ceiling when you see me talking to camera. But as long as you have this about 3 to 5 feet away from your voice, you get a pretty rich, decent audio. And the same exactly with this Rode microphone here. If I'm when I used to do tech videos and I was maybe pointing at a mobile phone, I would be sat directly behind the camera and this would just be pointing directly at me. And I like, as a personal tip, and don't want to stamp on anything Mike said, because obviously he's the audio expert, but if you are on a budget and you need to use cheaper microphones, the simplest solution is just be as close to a microphone as possible with it just being out of shot. That requires a lot of practice and time and effort to work out how to do it properly. Like at one point I was strapping this to my chest underneath a shirt to try and get it to work, but it was too much interference in the noise. But yeah, when you start to use microphones, you learn how to adapt and get them to work. And one other thing I should mention as well, just before I forget, you may see Mike sort of looking above the monitor, and that's not because he's getting a feed from the audio digital gods. It's because he has this incredible setup where there's like a big 32-inch screen above his camera. So that's why it might look a bit weird if he's sort of thinking, right, I've got the answer to that. Exactly, yeah.
This is the voice of God. Hello.
There we are. We're going to get into this. Whatever board you have, I need one of them for my live streams, but we'll talk about that a little later. Just one thing that came through was...
You bet.
Absolutely.
One thing that came from Digital Jedi Master was that he bought a $5 Guitar Hero microphone, and that seems to be working for him. So yeah, sometimes there are bargains to be found. Right, where are we now? I asked that question about 15 minutes ago, and I can't remember where we are. Right, we're now on you as a business owner. You do have a YouTube channel, and we've talked about this a little bit. But your company, let me make sure I get this right. It's Music Radio. Hang on, I've written it down wrong here. Let me put this on the website. I can never remember the way around it's called. It is Music Radio Creative. There we are, and I'm putting it on screen now. So, Mike, just talk a little bit about this whole audio empire you have beyond YouTube.
Right. So, yeah, absolutely. That's the bread and butter of what I do. It's Music Radio Creative, as you kindly mentioned there. And we started out really by creating great sounding audio for people in radio, for DJs, and for podcasters. Those are our three primary clients that we serve, but also business owners and creatives wanting to create great quality audio. We have just over 100 voiceover artists located in every corner of the world, speaking many different languages. We've just taken on an Arabic voiceover as our latest addition to the team. So we do serve a lot of different corners and parts of the world, which is really exciting. You never know who you're going to be working with every day, which is great. We also have musicians, singers, audio producers on our team, and of course audio specialists who kind of serve you with a smile and help you to get the audio you want. So whether it's like a podcast intro and outro, or it's a DJ drop to make your set sound great, or even YouTube effects and sounds, that's the kind of stuff that we're doing at Music Radio Creative. And like I say, it's a joy because you just never know what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis.
I guess with the new YouTube video creator world, do you get a lot of YouTube clients?
So yes, I mean, definitely YouTube is on the rise. I mean, you say that podcasting is on the rise, but definitely I'm noticing that there's a big trend there, particularly recently with YouTubers coming to us saying, I want to sound good, or I want a branding package. And for YouTube, it's a totally different game to creating a podcast intro, which might last for 20 or 30 seconds. Obviously, if you did an intro that lasted 30 seconds for YouTube, I think people would be tuning out. Your audio retention report would be like that. So, I mean, maximum really is, I think, as you've advised but before previously, would be 3 to 5 seconds. Very, very quick. Sound effect, maybe a voiceover, just like the intro you played at the start, the vidIQ, with a few voiceovers, animated logo, that kind of stuff. So we're doing a lot more of that recently. And as and where they require it, like for instance, we recently worked with Nick Nimin to brand his live stream, and in the middle he'll like suddenly transition. He'll say, "Okay, now we're going to review channels," and then it'll have a little kind of now it's time for the channel reviews. So kind of drop-ins like that. So for YouTube, it tends to be short and sweet, and it will have like an effect or a couple of effects in. Sometimes music beds or custom music and stuff like that. But as YouTube is very savvy, so obviously, as a YouTuber, you can access the YouTube audio library, and that's a load of free music. There are other services out there as well, like Audio Jungle, where you can download. Just check. I always say this. Always check licensing. It's so important. There was a great talk actually at VidCon about that. The guy's name was Ryan, and he's from Superbam, I think. He was talking about copyright strikes and stuff like that, which is a whole can of worms. I'm sure you know a load about it, Rob. And it's like if you play the wrong thing in your video, you can get picked up. He actually said something really interesting, that there is such thing as fair usage, but it's like kind of a very gray area.
Yeah.
He said something like, if you play less than 20 seconds of audio, or it might be 10 seconds, it's not picked up by the algorithm. But I mean, don't take that as a kind of free for all to go and play copyrighted stuff, because you shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, it's just interesting to see. And obviously the tech's probably going to get better. So you play a split second eventually, and it'll be like, yep, you're banned for playing like a split second of Kylie Minogue spinning around. I heard that, and you're banned.
Yeah. Where was I going with that now? I've just lost my train of thought as I was about to move on to something. It was, as you say, copyright strikes. It's difficult to try and have an argument with an algorithm. It's like people can make suggestions, but like it's saying the algorithm does something. It's like, hey, you said it'll do this, and the algorithm's done that, and it's like, well, you're trying to reason with. It's like almost when somebody's late for work. It's like you're trying to reason with the laws of physics and quant, and It's a dangerous game to play, and fair usage definitely. I see a lot of YouTubers just take that fair usage line and think they can apply it to anything, and that's often not the case, especially when they're just ripping clips from movies, and then they're confused as to why my fair usage didn't apply to this trailer for the Avengers Infinity. It's because you didn't actually add anything to it. You didn't do any commentary on it, and so on. So what I was going to talk about here was, obviously you've done a lot of work with visual effects and voice audios for podcasts and now YouTube, and let me just play this one very quickly again, which is a new vidIQ intro.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.
vidIQ.com.
So the question is, how much effort, time, resources goes into creating a clip as quick as that? Where we had some visuals, the vidIQ sort of distorting in, and then a few different voiceovers of vidIQ, vidIQ.com, and so on. What goes on behind such what seems to be a 3-second process?
Yeah. So a few pieces of software involved. You can do this in other packages, but obviously to create something like that, you'd be dipping into Adobe After Effects, definitely Adobe Audition, and likely as well Premiere Pro, just to tighten things up and maybe move frames around, or get it looking exactly how you want, maybe putting a fade on the end and stuff. So starting out in After Effects, you'd create something like that. If you know After Effects really well, you can do it from scratch. Personally, to create that particular intro, I went straight to videohive.net, and they have a beautiful library of so many great and professionally produced templates that you can take and you can insert logos in. If you know a little bit about what you're doing in After Effects, it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, it's fantastically fun, because once you start to get to grips with After Effects, I would say that's probably one of the most overwhelming packages in the whole Creative Cloud. But I'm an audio guy. I don't know enough about it, but I know enough to be able to, put in a logo and change colors and things like that. So that's the first thing, is getting that looking good and looking right. But then once you've got that, bringing it over to something like Premiere Pro, or even straight into Adobe Audition, and then syncing up everything that's happening to the visuals on screen. So you kind of, as it was whooshing in there, you want to kind of and then when the logo hits the screen, you want to boom like that. So all of that can be done, in precise form by just going through the multi-track and dropping effects in at the right point. And yeah, voiceovers as well. Again, stacking them up and putting different effects on. That's my favorite part of the process. But yeah, I mean, there's a fair bit involved, and really, it's just up to your creativity as to how complex or how exciting you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Would you say you provide services for YouTubers who don't want to really get messed up in the complex creation process? Like, I certainly wouldn't have been able to do anything on that scale. So, do you provide services for YouTubers of sort of all levels, like budget packages and so on? I'm jumping into a bit of a question here. I probably don't have a specific answer, but yeah, how can you help YouTubers in that sense?
So yeah, definitely. I mean, it depends if they want a full package of stuff to go throughout videos. We can do that. If it's just about having a quick intro to get in and out, we can either provide the voice only, or we can provide the voice and mix with visuals. So that's a possibility as well. At the moment, it's definitely something that you need to reach out to us and ask about, because we don't have a specific landing page for YouTubers. We do have a landing page if you want to go off and do it yourself. We actually sell a bundle of sound effects and music beds for YouTubers, which won't get you copyright strikes, and you can use in your creations. But if you want something more custom, I would say just reach out to us. We're here most of the time and can just help you out. So yeah.
Another question from Mostly Useless here. How much could he get for a $5?
What, £5 or $5?
Oh, well, yeah, that currency conversion there. You may only get half a sentence for $5.
Yes, my goodness. So $5. I don't think we sell anything on our website for $5. But there's another very popular website out there that sells a lot of things for $5.
Indeed. Okay, I've got a challenge for you here now. Let's see if we can do like a very quick free promo for Mostly Useless. So whatever sound effects you want to use, Mike, prep it, wow. And then we'll do a countdown. So Mostly Useless, get your audio recording ready. This is like we're going to do like a free, introduction to your channel. So if you're ready, Mike, I'll do a countdown. Get ready with a record. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the best channel on YouTube. You are watching Mostly Useless. Mostly Useless. Mostly Useless. Mostly Useless.
Mostly. And there we are. We expect. I will take maybe like a £2 commission from that, but if you want to send the rest to Mike, then please pop it in a self-addressed envelope. That's how we used to do it on Blue Peter, isn't it? Right.
Do it as a super chat.
Or a super chat, yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get back onto YouTube now. What would you say your greatest strengths and weaknesses are as a YouTuber yourself?
Oh, wow. Okay. Weaknesses, I can think of a lot. I'm learning so much from you guys, from vidIQ, from watching your YouTube channel. Like, for instance, the question I asked you earlier on about, should I be linking out to the website and ending my sessions, as you called it, or should I be like doing some internal link or putting the links below the fold, below the show more bit. So all of that I'm learning, the kind of tech stuff of it, the stuff that you go really geeky into the analytics and what you should be looking at and audience retention and all of that. I need to really get on top of that, and placing the card that appears just at the moment people are tuning out. So I need to get a lot better at that. Definitely. Those are my weaknesses, keeping people on site, because as you mentioned, I mean, for me, at first, it was fantastic throwing people off towards the business site, to hopefully place an order or do business with us. But now I'm kind of thinking it's more important to keep people on my YouTube channel, because it's not so much about sending people over to place an order and buy now, because I kind of think that, like you say, Rob, is like if you build the audience and you build the loyalty, then people are going to eventually, after so many different touches with you and watching so many different videos, they're going to want to somehow find a way of doing business with you. So I'm trying to get to that point of view in my YouTube strategy at the moment of retaining people and making. I said at the start of this year that number one priority for me this year is YouTube. Right above everything else, above any other project in the business, it's YouTube. So if you're listening, YouTube gods, I'm focusing on YouTube this year. So that's my big thing. I do want to hit 100,000 so I can get my play button. That's a big goal as well. So yeah, just tons of that kind of stuff. And just basically YouTube is everything for me right now. So I'm working on that. What am I strong at on YouTube? I think just pumping out the content, keeping it coming, keeping it going. That's what I tend to do because I love it so much, and I love doing the short and sweet lives that I do. I love doing sort of longer form videos. I'm actually thinking about, nothing is confirmed yet, because towards the end of 2017, I did an hour live every single day, Monday to Friday. It almost killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I do these much shorter form things that are easier to manage, and I prep loads of them in advance so I can just get in, talk for 8 or 10 minutes, and then get out. But I'm at the moment talking about maybe bringing something back, but maybe once a week, like just something that's manageable. But maybe it'll go on for longer than an hour. Maybe I'll do once a week live, and I'll sit on for 2 or 3 hours and chat away. I mean, I don't know what your take is on that, Rob. How often would you recommend going live? How often do you go live yourself, and what any optimum lengths?
We've been experimenting with this year, to be honest, and I decided to start with 2 live streams, which would be the channel reviews that we do on a Tuesday, and more casual, people just drop in, and Q&A session on a Friday. And it's taken a good 2 or 3 months to establish that. I went crazy last week and did 4 live streams, which was probably a little too extreme. The problem with live streams is that you tend to find that you get that immediate influx of people, and they're probably there for the majority of a live stream. But then once a live stream actually goes live, post live stream, the views are just such a dribble that even if it's fantastic content, YouTube, for whatever reason, just doesn't serve it properly. I did one experiment last week where I actually put the live stream immediately private and then went live with it the following day, and that seemed to have the same impact as just publishing a normal video. But then I tried to repeat that the day after, and again it was just that dribble effect where you just don't have any long feed from the live stream. So at the moment, where we have a strategy of these kind of hero content on a Monday where we're publishing something big and important, the live streams on a Tuesday, which now are being really well established because people just want access to us as a service to review channels. That's really taken off. But then it's made me think, should I do 2 live streams on channel reviews each week? So we're still playing around with it. I'm still learning that. One of the big thing for me this year was to do live streaming more, which is something we weren't doing, and it's been fantastic so far. So yeah, I would agree with you that live streaming 5 days a week is probably not only going to kill you, but your audience. It's quite a demand, because live stream is not on demand. It's you watch it live or you're probably never going to see it. So yeah, maybe 1 to 2 hour live streams to start off with and just see where you go. And I would think as well, just for an idea for you, is you are the audio expert and you need to find a way to optimize your title, your thumbnails to inform people. I'm going to be talking about something that's really a passion of mine. I'm an expert on, and usually you wouldn't see this anywhere else, and there'd usually be a significant charge. And I think that's one of the things why our channel reviews do so well. You could go to a YouTube expert and it would cost you maybe $300 an hour to get that sort of access, and we're trying to provide it for free. Wow, you put me a bit under a spot there, Mike, and I hope I've dealt with that question quite well.
I like that, but you've given some really good advice there, because I've noticed that as well with going live. And recently my strategy has been to go live 5 days a week and do very short 6 or 10 minute lives. And I'm trying to target one problem, and I'm trying to SEO optimize my title and my tags and everything. But like you've mentioned, it's just not getting the long tail. Yeah. Once that live is finished, I can make it the best looking title in the world. And then there's just drops off. Whereas when I upload a video, that continues to bubble through the YouTube recommendations and algorithm.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely something in that.
Just
I
to
think
add, another problem with
yeah.
live streams is that when you go live, you can find that your audience doesn't start to peak until 10 to 15 minutes into the live stream, whether it's because they don't see the notification or they see the notification but they're not at their computer at that point. So I think shorter live streams probably isn't the way forward, generally speaking.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And then rather than doing like an hour long, like I was doing every single day, like 5 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in total, why not do a 3 or 4 hour live stream one day? And then I guess you hit a bigger window in terms of going live at the same time every day and hitting that 1 hour window. So yeah, that's kind of what's going through my head right now.
Yeah. Yeah, live streaming is an entirely new beast, and I love it now that I've found some strategies and methods. But as you say, to begin with, I was just like doing live streams for an hour, and I was killing myself. I was forgetting to hydrate, and I was just trying to talk over and over again. And and obviously, always having guests on really helps as well, because it means that there's two people talking, and you can have a bit of a mental break in between. Right. Now what we're going to... Oh, so next question. We're 55 minutes into this and we're nowhere near getting through all the questions. But as long as everybody's happy here and Mike's happy, we'll kick on. YouTube inspirations. This might be an interesting one for you, being from an audio side of things. Are there any other audio YouTubers you sort of aspire to and watch their content?
Oh, audio YouTubers in particular. So I've got a few of my YouTube heroes, but let's start with audio YouTubers. And it would be for me, there's actually 5 of my favorite YouTubers that I mentioned in a recent video, audio YouTubers you should subscribe to. So definitely check that one out on my channel. But someone I really, really like and respect in the industry is Jason Levine. He's the principal worldwide evangelist for Adobe. And even though he covers all the products like Premiere Pro and After Effects, he's really secretly an Adobe Audition guy in my books. And like I said, Jason was the guy who was originally with the Centrillium team for Cool Edit Pro. And he's just great because he's got a broad knowledge on a lot of different audio and musical applications. He's a musician as well. He makes his own music. And he's just got, not only does he do stuff for Adobe, like on stage, and he's done stuff on Adobe TV, but he's also got his own cool YouTube channel as well that I believe he started fairly recently, and he's kind of building up the subs on that at the moment. So definitely go over and subscribe. Just search for Jason, Levine, Jason Levine. I think he's Beetle Jace on Twitter and places like that. But really, really good quality content. He's got an Audio 101 series where he 18, I think, 1 hour long videos, so 18 hours in total, and he covers pretty much everything you want to know about audio. So definitely Jason for me in the audio world. Did you want me to go outside the audio world? My favorite YouTubers?
Cool.
Okay.
So I was just getting distracted there. People are saying that there's a bit of some technical glitches. I do apologize. It's the usual YouTube live streaming stuff. Seems to be as if the stream just seems to slow down on occasions. So as always, I apologize, and fingers crossed. I may be improving that in the next month, but I'll let you know about that. Right. So we know about your YouTube inspirations. We here at vidIQ obviously do the occasional channel audit. So no, I don't want to put you under any pressure here, Mike, but we're going to audit some of your channel. Let me just bring this up on screen so I can give you some feedback where you may be able to make some small improvements. Hopefully that should appear
I'm
on
sweating
screen
now.
Yep.
I'm worried. I'm concerned.
Right. So your channel is Mike Russell. The first question I might ask you is there any particular reason why you've kept your name and you haven't used your company as the channel name?
That's a really good question. That's an excellent question. So I think it's worked out well for me in the end. But I guess you could call it like a kind of legacy of being an early adopter of YouTube. So I think I actually got the account in 2006. So I think YouTube came about in 2005, didn't it? So I got in 2006, I think, around then. I think you can actually look. Hang on, let me have a look at the history on my channel. It might tell me. Joined 12th of December 2006.
Okay.
So yeah, December 2006, I registered my account. And then every time, as you know, when YouTube first came about, they had different naming policies for channels. So I called it like Music Radio Creative, all one word. And that's why the URL is youtube.com/Music Radio Creative.
Yeah.
And then every time they rolled out an update, I just clicked, okay, do that. Okay, do that. And then Google Plus came along and they said, do you want to attach your real name to this channel? And I said, okay, do that.
Dun,
And
dun,
then
dun.
that's it, done forever. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's the one thing, because yeah, it's all about branding in business, isn't it? And everything else on our social media is Music Radio Creative, apart from this, which is Mike Russell. But I think it's worked out well because, you know, I guess I am the brand of that channel.
Okay.
And unfortunately now I can't outsource it and have someone else teaching audio on that channel because it's the Mike Russell channel, but I can do collabs, you know, so like I believe you and I are going to do in the future, where I can introduce you on my channel. So I've got a YouTube expert that's going to tell you about analytics.
Alleged YouTube expert. Let me just.
That's right. So you can do stuff like that. You know, I played about with setting up other YouTube channels, but I think the best advice is focus on the one thing. So I did dabble for a little while. Well, we do actually have a Music Radio Creative YouTube channel, which is in my suggested channels on my channel. When I'm not doing much with it at the moment, but we're thinking about putting more like demos on that channel. So audio demos, maybe with animated waveforms and stuff like that. So that's definitely on the cards there. And when YouTube used to do the monthly subscription thing, where you subscribe to a channel, I set up an extra channel called Mike Russell VIP, and I think that got up to about, at a peak, nearly 200 paid subscribers. But then at the end of 2017, YouTube got back in touch and they said, no, we're scrapping that now. We're no longer doing paid channels, and that was the end of that. So not my choice, but yeah, it went away. But I think I'm happy focusing on just the Mike Russell thing, and that's cool with me. And yeah, I think it worked out for the best.
Channel banner, as heard of on BBC, TalkSport, Adobe, Capital FM, The Guardian. What was the decision behind this channel banner?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, because I designed that banner before I'd watch a lot of the guides and the tutorials that you'll do, where you'll say, actually you should be saying what you do and the value proposition and why someone should sub to you. So I totally get it. That says nothing about why someone should sub. I guess what I'm trying to do there, I'm trying to just like we do on our website, Music Radio Creative, where we have a section that looks like that and says trusted by, and then you got Smirnoff, Costa Coffee, Turkish Airlines, all the big clients we've worked with. So those are the big broadcasters and media outlets that I've worked with and appeared on. So the kind of thought there is that it kind of will position me for the first time viewer to my channel. It kind of puts me there as an authority. So someone coming in thinking, oh, this guy's funny and he talks about audio, that's great. But, you know, who is he to be talking about this? So having those names that I've worked with and appeared on, I hope is kind of saying, oh, right, okay, yeah, he's done work with these people. I know these people. Therefore, the trust is kind of there, as opposed to having to build it up by them maybe watching 3 or 4 of my videos. Hopefully that gives, but yeah, I really would like some advice on that. Do you think I should totally scrap those, or do you think I should keep those logos and do something like saying what my value proposition is?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about this. Has authority, so I would recommend keeping those on. Maybe you might want to remove, I don't know, maybe TalkSport or Capital FM, only because those companies that may only associate with a British audience, but I'm sure people have heard of the BBC and Adobe. And then just take that maybe into the bottom left or right hand corner, and then have the banner with, like, as you usually do in your thumbnails, you've got sound waves in the background or some sort of audio graphic which clearly indicates what you're about, and then the value proposition, whatever that is. Now you may not have that key like 6-word value proposition at this point. It could be something along the lines of audio expert projecting my knowledge, just something that's come out of the top of my head, but something like that. And also one thing is that you produce, as you say, a lot of content, so having a schedule of like videos almost every day, or like what you intend to do live stream on a Wednesday and whatnot, as I picture that in my head, it starts to become a bit of a busy banner. But I think certainly more than just as heard on, because if I look at that and I've not viewed your site before, it's like, well, who I've heard who, all right, on these things, but about what? Like, are you are you a dancer? Are you did you invent the Dyson vacuum cleaner? It's like, I've heard this person. Well, I may have heard of him, but I don't know who he is, type of thing.
That's brilliant. I'm writing this down because that's definitely something I need to work on. So yeah, moving the authority logos down, like you say, maybe bottom left, and then some text. And I guess, would it be too much to have my smiling face on there as well?
No, I think include your smiling face, actually. If you can smile more, that would be better. But any opportunity to have you, the personality of a brand, on your branding, like you do it very effectively on your thumbnails, I would certainly recommend that.
Cool.
In fact, that's where we can jump to next, because we can now look at like the branding of your thumbnails, which clearly does define the content that you produce. Just waiting for my computer to update itself here. It's going really slowly, but it'll eventually get there. There's some of the things I noted about your thumbnails, like they're strong, they're vibrant, they've got really good color tones. Like, and I like to write this: man with face in different poses. Like, any YouTuber who knows their thumbnails will stand in front of a camera for about 3 hours just practicing different poses for when they need to take thumbnails on that. Good use of graphics. The one thing I did think is that maybe sometimes your thumbnails are a bit wordy. I'm just looking at some on screen now. There's one that says Adobe Audition tutorial for beginners. That's quite big and wordy, and it dominates the text of the thumbnail. You may be able to have that text in the title, and then maybe visualize that more. Like, you've got the Adobe logo, so you might just need that and the word for beginners, or like a teacher's hat, or something more visual. One of the things that I often comment on with channels is that, they do tell you what the video is about, but they tell you what the video is about twice, and it's almost like a book cover. Yeah. Like, the thumbnail should complement the title rather than regurgitate.
I like that.
So, yeah, that's just some brief comments. There are some where you just haven't done any thumbnails at all. Is that because these quick live streams, and obviously you're putting a lot of time into each thumbnail? It's probably like a good 15 minutes to half an hour job on each of these. So
yeah, it does take a while. That's why. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Some of them either don't have thumbnails, or they're very quick, thrown together thumbnails. But yeah, when I those that you're earmarking and displaying on the screen now, definitely I put a lot of work and effort into them. And it definitely, like you say, it takes time. So I try to either focus on, if it's content I want to stand out on YouTube, or what I'm doing recently is I've been going through the back catalogue and looking at my most popular videos.
I've noticed, yes. I noticed on like your million view video, you've updated the thumbnail to make it look as if it was made last week, which is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now I was just going to talk a little bit about your videos in particular. One thing I noticed was that the video production is very high. Let's see. I wrote it. Sorry, we'll talk about the video production first. But it might be worth checking like how your videos are watched. I'm presuming most people watch your videos on desktops, I would imagine, since you're talking about desktop programs. However, when I was looking at the video and it was in like the shortened square that we have now, maybe I can jump forward on this video. Do you screen record at a very high resolution? Which
I do.
Yeah, which sometimes makes it like, whoa, there's a lot on screen there and I can't exactly see what he's looking at with a tutorial. And it may be that you need to zoom into the screen. Now, I sometimes make these comments by only watching 1 or 2 minutes of somebody's video. So I don't know if you do that on a regular basis. But like, there's an example here now where people probably won't be able to see anything on screen other than a couple of sound waves, and there's text, but they can't read it. Is that something that you're aware of, or have you ever had any comments on? A small thought on video production.
No, that's a good point, and it's that's definitely something I need to do more of. I know there are a couple of ways you can do that. So in some of my earlier tutorials, I was using I think I've used both ScreenFlow and Camtasia, and I used to like post-producing and zooming in on sections like that. But I eventually just took that out of my workflow, wondering if, the videos really needed that. So now listening to you saying that, maybe I need to bring that.
I know
back.
exactly what you're saying. It's a double-edged sword. You introduce this to make the video look better, but then it adds time to the workflow, and that's something I wrestle with. I just did some screen recordings, and it can take 10 minutes to do a screen recording, but do I need to make this more palatable for somebody watching the content? So I completely agree with you there. It's kind of like a two-way. What makes it better without killing myself spending hours producing content which may only get a few hundred views?
Yes.
And I would just say that a lot of your content is designed with the idea of it may not get many views to begin with, but it's supposed to be evergreen content. So you're always having to produce video to a high production level in the hope that YouTube's going to then start serving this content to the right people, and you're going to get at the top of the search terms. So I can appreciate that struggle that you have as well.
Yes.
Right, totally. I'm just going to scroll down to video tags. Tags seem generally excellent. As we can see, you're ranking highly on the Adobe Audition tutorial space. The one thing I might say is you might want to just shuffle these tags around and put the longer tail keywords at the beginning, like what we call front load the tags that are most specific and most relevant. Like Adobe and Audition, they're highly searched tags, and so it's less likely that you will rank for these tags, but it's still worth including them in your video tags, so maybe put them lower down. So that might be an idea. We've always been wondering about whether this is true or not, that you tags are ranked on where they are in order. And there's some new Creator Studios, Creator Academy documents that do seem to suggest that tag order is important. But generally speaking, your tags are brilliant. Like 95% spot on. Maybe just reorder them.
Thank you. Yes, reordering. So putting the longer tail at the front, and then maybe ending off with Adobe, Audition, Adobe Audition.
Yeah,
and so on.
So like Adobe Audition for beginners, that might be the one that goes at the top. Adobe CC tutorial second, tutorial video Adobe, and then like Adobe Audition for beginners is your second to last tag. So that might be one that goes right up there.
Right. That's cool.
A little bit of jiggery pokery. I'm sure British people understand that phrase, but maybe that's a little lost on others. Right. What else did I have? Was that it? All right. Yeah, you've alluded to this yourself. You crank out an astonishing amount of content, like videos almost every day. So how do you manage to produce so much? And I think you've suggested the methods around that, but if you could go into a bit more detail about how you're able to create so much content.
Yeah, definitely batching. So, and regular breaks as well. So if you do live streams on a regular basis, take a break from them from time to time and tell your audience that you're going away so they know what's going on. So for instance, the last couple of weeks, I had a batch of pre-recorded videos that I put out when the live stream wasn't going. And I have like what I usually have once or twice a month is I'll have a YouTube day where I'll sit here in my studio and I'll drag this green screen across behind me, and I'll just like pump out a load of cool videos ready to go. And also as a backup, if I need to put content out when I can't make a live for whatever reason, it's unusual, but occasionally life happens. But then also with the lives, just being really super prepared. So I've got like a spreadsheet in Google Sheets where I record all the ideas. Also, I use Trello boards to organize ideas as well. And then I'll move them around and kind of get to them and go through them bit by bit. And I'll often because I get a lot of questions asked by the community around my channel. They'll ask questions all the time. I just record those questions into the spreadsheet and I try and make them into topics. So eventually, like I'm getting like a month or ideally 2 months ahead on my production schedule. So I can literally go in and I can say, okay, it's a question from Roger. He's in North Carolina and he wants to know how to remove hiss from his microphone. And then I can literally just go live and do that one bit and then switch off and then that's done. But I might change my tactic on that in the future. I might actually do that rather than, as you say, it's like if you're not going live for 15 minutes, you're probably not hitting the peak audience. So I'm thinking maybe I should just be doing like 4 pre-records a week, or less or more maybe, and 1 live a week. And I think that might well be my strategy going forward in the future.
Yeah, I think the live stream should be ask me anything type of live stream, so people can quickly get on and answer the questions. And if you think that's a good question, and I've answered it here, but maybe I should do a more lengthy video to have the standard traditional YouTube video, which can then rank and do all of its fancy things. We're getting some fantastic questions in here, so I'm going to rush through the rest of my questions so we can get to them. So
cool.
We've audited your channel. I hope you've found some useful stuff there. Good luck. Get to 100,000 subscribers very soon. So if you were to give a mini audio audit of our vidIQ channel, is there anything that you would recommend very quickly for us to do?
Yep. So your audio is already sounding really good. I will give you just one tip, I guess, because it'd be very straightforward to implement if you want to do. And that would be to stick maybe a microphone preamp processor in between your microphone while you're recording, and then stick on a bit of compression, EQ, gating on your microphone, so then you can get it sounding good without having to do a lot of post-production. So I don't know, at the moment you're running your microphone straight in. There's no process. You add any processing on afterwards in a DAW or anything like that, or nothing straight as it comes?
Straight into Camtasia, and that's, as I say, it's like I hate adding variables, but it sounds like if I get a preamp and set all those settings, then it's nothing to worry about. That is the one thing I'm probably going to do next.
In, and then
awesome, thank you. Right.
Awesome.
We've got some,
that's what I'd recommend.
We've got some quickfire questions from me, and then it's going to be over to questions from the audience. So, as I always do in these vidIQ interviews, we ask the guest some very quickfire questions, like one word or single sentence answers. Are you ready, Mike? If you want to answer this in a silly voice, by all means. Ready to go?
Yes.
Let's do this. Right. Other than YouTube, what social media platform do you use most?
Facebook.
What's your current main video camera and why in one sentence?
Canon EOS 60D, because it's a DSLR and it's got 1080p and I like it.
I really can't take this seriously. What would you be doing if you weren't making YouTube videos?
Making sounds, silly sounds.
Obviously. Favorite sport and which team do you support?
Favorite sport, enough of the reverb, running or power walking, and I support the Isle of Wight Hash House Harriers.
That is probably the most unique sports answer I've had so far on that question. How much YouTube do you watch each week?
I watch 30 minutes consistently on the treadmill every single morning. Don't usually get time in between that. So let's say another 15 minutes. Let's say about an hour a day. So let's say about 6 or 7 hours a week.
One thing you would change about YouTube right now?
I would, I don't know. I would make it easier to get more subscribers because everyone wants more subscribers.
So it sounds like you want some hack software. If you could only make one more video, sorry, rewind there. Have you ever told anyone how much you earn on YouTube outside of your immediate family?
Occasionally.
If you could only make one more video, what would it be about?
How to make your voice, how to change your voice into something strange.
Favorite book?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would have to say it would be favorite book at the moment is How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. Excellent book.
Favorite movie?
That would be The Matrix.
And favorite music, like artist, one track?
Favorite music, then I'm going to go for trance DJ Armin van Buuren.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one more question. I'm not getting this right. Who outside your family has had the biggest influence on you and why?
Wow. Oh, what an amazing question. It would definitely be over the over the years, since I've got more and more into podcasting, Cliff Ravenscraft, originally the podcast answer man, now transitioning into a business coach, mentor and life coach. He's had tremendous impact on the way I've done business and just on my business itself. So yeah, definitely listening to Cliff's podcast. I would actually put that down to changing my life, because I caught Cliff's podcast and also Internet Business Mastery back in 2011. And that's when I went off on a whole different life path, listening to shows like that.
Yeah, it is interesting how things can utterly change your life. Like, I sent a simple tweet to vidIQ 2 years ago about a tutorial I've made for one of their things, and 2 years later, here I am talking to like industry experts about how to grow their YouTube channels. So thank you very much for those questions from me, Mike. We're now going to go over to our audience, and let's just get straight into this with usernames that I can't pronounce. Fraser Rules, I think. What would you suggest for singing? Because I sound rubbish on camera. Also, it has to be on a budget because it ain't till my birthday in October.
All right. Okay. Right. Budget singing, Mike. Well, you probably want to go for something like the Audio Technica 2020 is a pretty good vocal mic in a sort of low budget end. Also, if you want to sound good, if you're saying you're rubbish at singing, get yourself an auto-tune plugin. The one that I use a lot is called Waves Tune from Waves Audio at waves.com.
Thank you very much. Shararazar wants to watch The Matrix again. We hope you enjoy watching that. Mostly Useless asks, why don't you work as a mic stand? I'm not sure what the question is there, but why don't you use a mic?
Hang on. Oh. This is a mic stand.
There we are. I think that's the
And
answer.
Rob, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
Would you take the red pill or the blue pill?
I would take the blue pill because it's got vidIQ branding on it, I think is the answer to that.
Good answer.
Do you, sort of fandom spotlight, do you use noise reduction and or a noise gate?
Yes, I do. As I alluded to earlier on the DBX286S, my mic preamp and processor, I have a noise gate set up. That means when I go quiet, it automatically kicks in and stops audio getting through. Not that I have a noisy studio anyway, but it just gets that audio really crisp and really clear. I very rarely use it in post-production because I always advise best practices when recording into your audio editor or into your whatever software you're using. So you shouldn't really need to use it. But when you do, it can come in really handy, yeah.
Digital Jedi Master asks, any recommended audio apps, presumably for iOS or Android, for lapel mics that you plug into your phone?
Well, earlier on I recommended getting the Rode SmartLav Plus that plugs straight into your phone. It's a lapel mic that goes on, and they have their own piece of software or their own app for both iOS and Android that will record. It's a pretty good app, actually, so I recommend that. I recently moved over quite a while back now, actually, maybe 6 months ago, from iPhone to Android. And the one thing I missed was having the native voice recorder app inside iPhone. With Android, you're like in a kind of world of, you better look after yourself now. There's no native apps for recording voices. But fortunately, I did move to a Samsung Galaxy S8, and there's a wonderful Samsung voice recorder app that I've already used. And what's really cool, actually, about if you happen to have an Android phone like me, let me see if I can find it. If you go into the Samsung voice recorder app here, you can actually record an interview. That will record an interview. And what I didn't realize is there are two microphones, one on the top, one on the bottom. If you click record, stick that down on a desk, and you're sitting both sides of the desk, it will record two separate waveforms, which is amazing.
Sweet.
On your smartphone.
Cool. Ran Varma, this question I think is about, is there any way to plug condenser microphones with USB cables into a DSLR? Is that possible? The question is, direct Blue Yeti to Canon DSLR possible?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question, and it's not something that I've really encountered as a question before, so it might be a good topic for me to cover in the future. Definitely, if you want to plug in, because usually on the DSLRs you get those little mini tiny headphone jack connections, don't
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
So the same as you would get on a smartphone. And on a smartphone, I know you can buy something called an iRig. An iRig, I think the iRig 2 is out now, and that will plug into a smartphone. And using that, you can plug condensers and other heavy power things and things like guitars straight into your smartphone. I would guess, I wouldn't bet my life on this, but definitely you might want to look it up or do some searching online to find out if an iRig will actually plug into that same jack on your camera and do the same thing that you'd like to achieve there. It's a really good question, but I think so many people in video and audio production, they tend to sync up with the claps and the syncing afterwards.
Yeah.
But you can do that, so much the better for sure.
I seem to remember that when you start to have microphones for mobiles versus cameras, you need, is it an SRS converter cable of some kind to bridge the microphones?
It might be, although I'm not familiar.
Yeah.
What I do know is that some mics that you plug into cameras like DSLRs, they require some kind of power or powering. So, and some cameras can do that, I believe, but others can't. So, definitely, it's a minefield out there, and you need to check what camera and what mic you're using and how they may work together. And even if you do get it working, sometimes just the audio quality won't sound that good. And that might just be because the camera can't handle the audio coming into it. So then you might be better off syncing up afterwards.
Yeah, like when you start to have these connectors and adapters, then any benefit, anything you get from using that audio is probably lost through the translation of the code or whatever that's going on. Gord Eisman, hello to you. Thanks for joining the live stream. This is a very specific question. Is the DBS 286 good to use with the Scarlett 2i2, or is there a different recommendation? I don't know if he's talking about cars, computers. I'm sure you can answer that one.
Yeah, so well, actually, that's a brilliant combo. DBX 286S and the Scarlett 2i2 from Focusrite will work hand in hand. So let me describe how that chain would look. That mic chain, or audio chain as we'd call it, would look. You'd have your microphone that would hopefully be an XLR mic. So there'd be an XLR cable going into the back of your microphone, and that would then plug into the back of your DBX 286S. You then tweak and process the signal of your microphone, and then the output of the DBX 286S would go out and into your audio interface, the Scarlett 2i2, and then that would plug into the back of your computer using either USB, FireWire, or if you're really modern, Thunderbolt on your iMac. And so that's how you'd actually get that audio eventually into your computer. So yeah, they'd all work hand in hand, really.
Have you heard of something called Tachotron 2, Mike, before I ask the question?
Tachotron 2? Oh, it sounds like a really good movie.
It does, doesn't it? Or a really bad sequel to a movie. It's Google Voice generated in AI, and your thoughts on it. But I've never heard of it. If you haven't heard of it, we'll move on to
I'm just looking it up now. That's amazing. Wow. So generating human-like speech from text. Wow. I'm going to totally look into that after this stream ends. That's amazing. Tachotron 2. So it's, wow. Well, I've heard of something similar to this. So from what I understand, just looking at literally the first result that came up is something from the Google research blog. So you can type text in and get human-like speech. Now already AI is getting pretty close with Amazon. Alexa. Sorry, I just wanted to do that to trigger everyone's Alexa off. I should say.
Okay, Google.
Alexa, subscribe to Music Radio Creative. There you go. So yeah, I mean the voice of we'll call her A, and also Google is already sounding really good. There's Amazon Polly for those of you who want to delve deep into the behind the scenes of making voices sound good, but electronic voices. The other cool thing that's like on my radar at the moment, it was announced I think maybe a year or two ago at Adobe Max, is Adobe Voco. And this is really scary. There are other companies, I think, that are also working on this at the moment. This is super kind of new. So you can take 20 minutes of any voice in the world, play it into this piece of software called Adobe Voco that's not for general release. It's not even in beta testing yet. And then once you've done that, you can make that voice say anything. So if you imagine like there are examples you can take like Obama, or you can take Donald Trump, and you can make them say all kinds of crazy stuff they never said. It's a real minefield for what is true and
Oh
what is
yeah,
not true.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to deal with that. I suppose it's the same as photoshopping, isn't it? Now you know when you look at a photo on the internet, is that real or not? But yeah, soon I think that's going to happen with voice, and that's going to be a crazy new time for us.
Question from Yacosta Solutions, very specific one again. You do screencasting and notice a low buzzing in background, mostly when I speed up or slow playback. Using a Blue Yeti pop filter, recording in a small room with some padding. Any guesses as to the cause?
Buzzing can be a number of things. It's weird that it comes about when you speed up or slow down things. Usually buzzing is like a ground hum loop or something like that. So it might be that you've got like wires crossed or something. Just check your cabling. Try and keep it as neat and tidy as you can. Particularly check if you've got like cables lying over other cables. In particular, if you've got a power cord lying over your XLR mic lead, that's a big no. Things like that. Buzzing can be for a number of reasons. It could be like the aircon. It could be someone drilling. I'm sure you've probably excluded those possibilities already, but yeah, a number of different reasons. Hard to diagnose without seeing your setup.
Fraser Rules asks, do you, you presume you use a screen recorder, so which one do you use?
Right. So most of the time at the moment, I use ScreenFlow for Mac. I really like it. It's really good. But also, I just recently got the latest copy of Camtasia 3, but just the learning curve on all of these things, it's like, you know what you know, and it's really difficult to dedicate the time to learn more. So I'm kind of comfortable with ScreenFlow at the moment.
Yeah, I personally use Camtasia here at vidIQ, and one of the things I love about it is you can do a simple Shift A, and that just creates an animation, and then you can manipulate the screen however you want, and then it's done. So it's not like you're having to go into lots of different menus to do changes to things. What else do we have here for questions? Here we go from Mobile Cats. How would you do a audio intro for my channel to put it on video? I have 4 I use I did for free, but I'm not really sure what the question there is, to be honest. Kind of, yeah, disintegrates into. Is there Mobile Cats? If you can ask that again, maybe a little bit, and we can try and answer that. God Eisman, I think he loves your response, so he is back with another specific one. If I get the DBS 286 with my Scarlett, and I only use my Bluebird mic, do I need to add something like a Mackie mixer, just bringing one audio feed into Camtasia? Whew, my mind is blown at that question.
Wow. Okay. That's made by Blue Microphones. Is it the Bluebird? Let me have a look at that. So you got a Bluebird. Let me have a look at what that's like. Oh, right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that's. I'm just looking at it. It's got an XLR cable, it seems. So you could plug the Bluebird into the back of the DBX 286S. You then need a cable to go from the DBX 286S into your Scarlett 2i2, and then the Scarlett 2i2 would go into your computer, if that makes sense. You don't need to add anything like a Mackie mixer or any other mixer unless you want to. What I'm doing now, and I got this, I went for a long time actually without a mixing desk, even though I was brought up on them in the radio industry. I got myself a really cool mixing desk last year, middle of last year, 2017, when I first started doing live, and I justified it as I needed to bring in multiple different audio sources. So once you go to the stage of needing guests or sound effects or anything like that, then mixing desk is the way to go. And the one I'm using now is the Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK, and it's absolutely brilliant. So mixing desk. If you're just using one microphone, you don't need a mixing desk. Lots of different inputs, sound effects and whatever else, and playing audio from the computer maybe as well. Mixing desk.
And I think this will be the final question. What are your general thoughts on Audacity? You've mentioned it previously, but is there anything you can add about how it's good as a free program, but what are its limitations?
Oh yeah, Audacity is a great gateway drug for digital audio workstation people. So get into it. Yeah, definitely. Go for Audacity and get started. I really like the fact that they have a great open source community. I'm a massive fan of anything that is open source. So if it's got a community and the code is out there and people are dedicating their time, usually for free, to make these things work well and sound fantastic, then I think you should be supporting it. And even though I'm an Adobe Audition man myself, I really support and respect what the Audacity team are doing. So go for it. Yeah.
So what I'm going to call this is the pilot edition of Mike Russell Answers Anything. And I think this is the perfect sort of live stream for your channel, Mike. We've had lots of fantastic questions coming in there, and you just batting them off left, right, and centre with perfect answers. Have you ever done anything like this on your channel yet, where it's just like an open mic session almost? Yeah, that'd be a brilliant name for it as well. Open mic session.
Mike.
There we go.
Open mic, MIKE.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. The open mic session. So maybe that's what I need to do more of. I've done live streams where I focus on a topic and then I answer questions on the fly. But yeah, I'm thinking more kind of like free flow, kind of, what do you want to ask? Let's go kind of thing. That's it's kind of, in a way, I've steered off that because I've been a little bit scared of that, because I'm like, well, what if I'm on and nobody asks a question? Do I just sit there and pad out for minutes and minutes until someone asks a question? Or but I guess you can do that, can't you, and see how it goes. And if nobody asks a question, just stop doing them.
Okay, so thank you very much for sharing your wisdom on the audio world that we have here, Mike. Really do appreciate it. We do have to go into a bit of the vidIQ routine here. We need to find out how, if you use vidIQ, and like what are your favorite tools.
Yeah, absolutely. I use vidIQ. I've been using it for a while, off and on. But now I'm currently subscribed. The first thing I like when you log in, you can see all the stats. But my favorite part of the dashboard is, for me, I think you can move the panels around actually, but for me, it's in the bottom left, and that's the best time to post. I've not seen anything else out there that can give me a nice sort of looking graph and those big bubbles to show me when people specifically are tuning into my channel and when I should be dropping videos or dropping lives in particular. So I find that invaluable. Also, obviously, goes without saying, all the keyword stuff when I'm uploading videos and I'm tagging, and you can get auto suggestions and all of that good stuff. I really like that. There's another killer thing that I like when you actually log into vidIQ, and I think it's where you click videos, and it will give you a kind of broad overview of all the videos on your channel. I think that is also really cool, and I like the fact that not only can you look at all the videos that are on your channel, but you can also kind of sort by which ones had the most views and likes. Obviously, you can do a lot of that stuff inside YouTube, but I particularly like that you give each video a vidIQ score, so you can kind of sort by that score. And I think sometimes it takes time to develop, doesn't it, for recently released stuff. But like, I can go back in time and see which of my videos that really need some work or some SEO work or something like that, and I can work my way through that list. So that's just a starter of some of the bits and bobs that I like inside vidIQ. But I think it's brilliant that something like this exists and allows us as video creators to sort of reach our target audience, because that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Thank you, and you're the first one to give some love to the actual web app side of vidIQ. A lot of people don't really realize this, but there is a Chrome extension button that you get when you install it. You click on that and you've got all sorts of options where it does show you the best time to post, and sort of gives you analytics in a different way to how YouTube might show them. So yeah, if you're not familiar with the web side of things, absolutely check that out. Thank you for the plug there, Mike. Let's get on to the final question that I have for you. If you were to give one piece of advice to video creators, or I guess podcasters out there just starting out on their journey, what would that be?
Okay, so it's kind of like going back in time and talking to myself in the past, creating that first YouTube video. I'd say do it, but don't stop after putting that one video out and then come back in 3 or 4 months and say, oh, there's a few views, I better carry on. do it and stay consistent, even better, I believe. But also, don't make the mistake that I made. You could say it's a mistake. It's out there now, so that's the way it is. But I would say from the very first video, if you can, get yourself on screen, either with a green screen or just show yourself. I didn't do that for a long time, and I think I could have, built the channel a lot quicker if I'd actually been out there at the first. And somebody just told me after I'd put out so many videos, why don't you put yourself on screen? That's going to really help, and I believe it has. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Also, yeah, I couldn't subscribe more to that idea of start making stuff first of all, learn from your mistakes, just having something out there, and then getting yourself in front of a camera, talking to that lens, turning that lens into an actual audience is absolutely key to developing a brand and making the content relatable, like human connection, building that ever trust. Yeah, brilliant advice there, Mike. Okay, we've got one last thing that I wanted to do here. I'm hoping, Mike, do you have the Google Doc open that we had in the background? Because I think Mike has a brilliant accent, but it's a British accent. And what happens usually in films is that the British accents, they turn us into villains. And I think Mike has got the perfect Bond villain voice. So I've picked out some of the best James Bond villain quotes, and I basically just want him to read them out as if he was a Bond villain. If you want to add some sound effects to any of those, Mike, go ahead. But yeah, let's see. And as we're doing this, see if you can think up of a Bond villain name for Mike as he's doing them. So Mike, you have a list. Get over to you.
No, Mr. Bond. I expect you to die. Yes, you're right. We do all have British accents, all us baddies, don't we? This time, Mr. Bond, the pleasure will be all mine. The distance between insanity and genius is measured only by success. The first one won't kill you. Not the second, not even the third, not until you crawl over here and kiss my foot. I am invincible. I am invincible. No, I can't do a Russian accent. I am invincible. Hang on, maybe we'll go for one of these. I am invincible.
This is the Dalek Bond villain.
Yes, exterminate. What else can we do? Man has climbed Mount Everest, gone to the bottom of the ocean. He's fired rockets at the moon, split the atom, achieved miracles in every field of human endeavor except crime. I'll buy you a delicatessen of stainless steel.
I have no idea which Bond film that comes from, but that's just brilliant.
Tomorrow, I will be a hero of the Soviet Union.
There we are, everyone. Comrade Microsom. Round of applause. I think that, and like, just to end here, like, what tool are you using there to quickly manipulate your voice like that? Because I need to get one of these.
Yeah, absolutely. It is built into the Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK mixing desk. Really, that's the only reason I bought it for live, is that I can do this. You have a fader on there called FX Return, and you just whack it up, and it brings the effects on your voice.
And that ties directly into your computer, and you're just ready to go.
Yeah, it goes. The mixing desk plugs straight into the computer, and then you can get the audio into the computer that way. So yeah, it's great.
Well, thank you very much for all the fantastic advice you've given us here on vidIQ. Mike, it's over to you to plug all of your internet whereabouts. Where can we find you?
Thank you. Well, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Rob, for having me on the channel and inviting me into this live stream. I've been really excited to be here, and also to talk to a lot of the community that have been hanging out here in the chat. So I guess the place that I would send you to, if you would like to go and check it out, would be my YouTube channel. So do please go and check that out. I wonder if I can actually sign in now to the chat and post a link to those in the chat. But for those not in the chat, you can go to youtube.com/music radio creative. That's youtube.com/music radio creative, and hit the subscribe button, please. And then if you just want to find out more about me, oh, thanks. I see the Doberman guy has posted a link because I'm not allowed to, because I'm not a mod, obviously.
Thank you, Mod. Do appreciate that.
So that's really cool. And then if you want to go and check me out elsewhere, pretty much one URL will take you to everything I do online, and that's musicradiocreative.com.
Thank you very much, Mike. I was putting those on screen as well. And the good news is if you search for Mike Russell on YouTube, you come up first. So maybe that's why you have your channel name as your name, because you are the top result. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining this live stream. We do really appreciate all of the community here, and you guys and girls make this the live stream that it is. And Mike there with some fantastic answers. If you want more from him, I'm sure he'll be doing live streams on whatever subjects you want to talk about with him in the near future. It just leaves me to say goodbye to you, Mike.
Goodbye, Rob.
Enjoy the rest of your video making day, and we'll see you all probably tomorrow for the Friday Feeling live stream.